this occasion by heartily welcoming all our invitees and participants on behalf of the organizers and host of this virtual talk series with the theme Looking for Feminist Epistemology, organized by the Department of Sociology in collaboration with RC8, Indian Sociological Society, and supported by IQSC University Science and Technology, Meghalaya. This evening, we actually have our invited guests. Of course, as mentioned, our Chancellor is not online yet, but we have Mr. M. Hawk, the Honorable Chancellor, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. We also have with us Professor G.D. Sharma, Honorable Vice Chancellor, USTM, Mrs. Anju Hazarika, Registrar, USTM, Professor Parvez A. Abbasi, Convener, RC8, Indian Sociological Society. Then we have a special guest, Santa Khurai, Secretary, All Manipur Nupi Manbi Association, and a transgender activist. We also have our invited guest, Dr. Ajmal H. Barburia, Academic Registrar, USTM, Dr. Nurjaman Lasker, COE, USTM, Professor A.C. Talukdar, Dean, School of Social Sciences and Humanities, USTM, Mr. Shamim Gone, Deputy Registrar, USTM, Mrs. Polly Borgohain, Director, University Classes, USTM, Dean of Schools, Head of Departments, and our esteemed invited resource persons. Welcome everyone once again to this inaugural function. And I am also happy to let everyone know that this evening we have participants from all over India as well as from diverse sections of the society. To proceed with our program, I would now like to ask Dr. Sandeep Gupta, Assistant Professor, Department of Sociology, who is also the convener of this virtual talk series on gender issues, to please take your time on giving the opening remarks. Sandeep sir, please take your time.
Thank you, Dr. Kugatali BIA, Honorable Vice Chancellor sir, Honorable Chancellor sir, all the dignitaries. This is indeed a matter of proud for us to organize this particular event. We were thinking before organizing this particular program, and we were discussing this thing that no matter how big an academic achievement or an academic invention is, but until and unless the impact of that academic achievement don't get to the grassroots level, to the common people, the impact of that particular thing remains very, very small actually, if it is limited within the academic purview. So that's why different academicians try to reach out to the grassroots by writing articles, by making use of those academic inventions through technology. They try to reach out to the grassroots. Basically, whatever we are doing at the academics, ultimately the motto is to make human life easier, to make human life better, to breathe in a better society, to aspire for a more equal society. That's what the entire academic exercise is all about. Keeping in mind this particular idea, we thought of organizing a talk rather than a typical kind of a seminar, which has its own importance actually. But we'd rather thought that we can organize a talk where all these academicians and people who are working on different areas on gender particularly, they can share their experiences in a very storytelling way, so that the common people can grasp it, the common people can connect with them and understand from their experience about the new things that is happening in the arena of gender basically. So keeping in mind this thing, we thought that there are so many academicians who are working on different arenas of gender, and their experiences of working with this particular topic for this long period of time, that will be really benefited for the audience. Of course, initially we thought that we will be limiting ourselves, means our audience will be only our students, then later we thought that it will be injustice if we only keep it for our students only. So we have kept it open for everybody, because gender is an issue which everyone's life is affected by that. So how these people, particularly we have designed this particular talk, sir, with a we have kept the title looking from a feminist, or looking for a feminist epistemology. Here, epistemology means knowledge. So we want to create a knowledge, an alternative kind of a knowledge which is more feminist. When you say feminist, means all the feminist is not just women, all the marginalized gender comes under the purview of feminist. So how this entire marginalized gender, they perceive the world, what is their pain, what is their challenges, what are the issues that they face in the world. We will try to capture it from the perspective of all these scholars and activists who are dealing with different gender issues, and all these things will be told in a very storytelling manner, so that common people who may not be well versed with the jargons of the academics, who may not be well versed with the concept of the academics, they can also connect with the audience. So that's how we have planned to or we have designed this particular talk, that the audience can link with the speaker. And today the first speaker will be a transgender activist. So we thought that when we are dealing with gender, if we don't cover this transgender issue, the entire talk will be incomplete. So we are starting with the transgender activist and her entire experience of fighting for this particular cause, her own society, how it has perceived this particular issue, and then her own experience of growing up as a transgender, and all these things she will be capturing. Another scholar is there who has worked extensively on gender. She is from Hyderabad University, Ajanliu Numai. She's basically from Manipur, but a professor now teaching sociology in Hyderabad University. Again, she has worked extensively on child trafficking. Another sociologist, sir may be aware of her. Her name is Arvinder Ansari, ma'am. Arvinder Ansari is also as a professor of sociology from Jamia Millia Islamia. And then finally, Abha Chauhan, who is also a professor from Jammu University, who is teaching sociology. So all these are, veteran sociologists who are working on gender for a long period of time. They will come and share their experience about, dealing with different aspects of gender in this particular talk with our audience. So that's how we have planned this particular, entire talk so that the audience can connect with the speakers in a very informal kind of an environment, unlike a very academic kind of a discourse, which has its own importance, of course. But we rather thought that we'll just break the monotony of that academic discourse and provide the same information in a very informal manner. That was the motto behind this entire talk. I hope this particular talk will yield the kind of results that we are expecting for our students and all the participants who will be coming and joining this particular talk. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Hi, ma'am, you can proceed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandeep Gupta, sir, for in fact introducing very briefly but precisely about the whole talk series. And with that, I would now like to invite Professor G.D. Sharma, Honorable Vice Chancellor, USTM, to please give the welcome address. Sir, please take your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pugatoli BI. And in this 4 days lecture series organized by Department of Sociology, particularly IQAC coordinator, virtual talk in association with Indian Sociological Society, especially looking at feminist epistemology on gender issues. And in this 4-day series, we have our Honorable Chancellor, Mr. Mehbubul Haq. He is always very active in supporting new ideas and new approach to get knowledge, to generate knowledge, and to disseminate it. We have in this registrar of University of Science Technology, Anju Hazarika, then Dr. R.K. Sharma, advisor to USTM, other officers from the university, Dr. Nurjaman Laskar, Dr. Mrs. Polly Burgohain, Mr. Shamim Goni. We have Dr. A.C. Talukdar, Dean, School of Sociology and Humanities, other deans, heads from the department, the head of the department, Dr. Purkayasta, other faculty members from the department, scholars and the students from the Department of Sociology, maybe from Political Science, Department of Philosophy, because this is a multi-dimensional and multidisciplinary topic. And Dr. Sandeep has rightly said that the department has been very critical in selecting the best experts working on different aspects of the social epistemology. Particularly, Dr. Shanta Khurai, she is working on different aspects. Dr. Yelam Priyambada, Professor Abha Chauhan, then Professor Agailu Niyamai, Dr. Arvinder A. Ansari, and also some experts from our own university. So you have selected experts from Hyderabad University, Jamia Millia Islamia, Jammu University, covering all parts of all regions, you can say, from India. And from Northeast, you all are taking care. So generally, it has been seen under natural condition in living system, dominance is a temporary phase. Dominance of any kind, dominance of any particular gender, particular race, or culture, or other aspects like caste, religion, so many things. Particularly in a human society, there are so many different aspects. And this is a cyclic form of dominance. In this process, we have seen the societies which were dominant for some time are no more in today's world. The kings, Nawabs are no more today. If you go and find their linkages, you will find that no person is available in that linear. So how this happens and why dominance is not a permanent thing? Because we keep it in tightened form of the isolation. But if we liberalize and keep more adaptability like a nature, nature gives chance to every living being, whether it is plant, whether it is animal or man. If we take the example of nature, nature provides opportunity to utilize the resources as much as they can use it. But in man society, we bring a number of factors to show our dominance. We have seen during the process of evolution of man, a number of those cultures which dominated, now they are no more. The cultures which evolved, they are no more because the environment has changed, the resources have changed. And behind that, more important was use of knowledge changing in time and space and changing with the resource utilization. So therefore, the social location is very effective, and how effectively knowledge is generated to overcome the suppressions. The disadvantaged societies, they take some time, but how much time it takes? We know the transgender society, which was not having much rights, the women in our country were not having, even in USA, the equal right was given hardly in, I think, 1890 or something like that. So these are the pressures, we should say, which develops due to suppression, and this pressures gives accumulation of strength to overcome and then go for its right. And particularly in a democratic society, it has more opportunities. And therefore, we have these experts who can speak for the individuals, for their social locations, and also we'll talk about more in sociology of epistemology, which is a upcoming branch of the sociology, and how this social structure can be reframed, and social identities, whether it is gender or races or sexual orientation or caste, class, creed, kinship, status, all these things, how they can be done. Now in the last 2 years, what we have seen, a new kind of the division has been, that is the technology divide. Those who are having better technology, who can afford technology, they are more progressive. Those who are not having access to this, they are not. Economically, economic is another factor. Philosophies, we have seen the philosophy also, they also try to dominate. They will try to show their dominance on other philosophy, particularly a small or less acceptable, or so therefore what we feel, the inclusive society with liberal ideas, assimilation and respecting coexisting social aspects of this epistemology will help in understanding the better working together. That is why now a number of, even in English, the terms are changing in recent past, so that our mental setup is ready to accept these changes. Many times we are not ready to accept the change, particularly in traditional society. It is very difficult to accept the change, no matter. So how best these experts, our experts are there. They will be talking and they will be having a number of their studies. The advantage to our students and to department would be that they will get new thoughts to include both in teaching as well as to take up these thoughts into the researches, so that how they can apply to Northeast, particularly how they can improve the methodology of their research and then overcome some of these problems by utilizing this knowledge. I am sure that this 4 days virtual series of lectures with the experts from our own country will give new avenues to understand, to learn, and as well as to apply some of these thoughts into the new emerging areas of sociology of the epistemology. So thank you very much. I congratulate the department, especially Dr. Sandeep, because he is having an additional responsibility of BAG. But along with that, he is also equally contributing in conducting research as well as in taking classes in the Department of Sociology, and also working with the faculty members and giving these new ideas, which are emerging ideas, to our budding the research scholars, which are we have seen during their presentation. So such social status, particularly of these those societies which are having a kind of feeling or discrimination, we can say, how they can be brought equally in the same platform. So thank you very much. You have given me this opportunity to share some of these thoughts, and I wish all the best wishes for a grand success of this 4 days lecture series. And we must thank the technology that without spending any penny, we are able to get all experts starting from Jammu, Delhi, Hyderabad, and all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your welcome address. And next, we have an address by the guest of honor, but as mentioned earlier by our convener, Dr. Sandeep Gupta, due to some technical issues, our guest of honor could not be with us right now, but Dr. Sandeep Gupta will read a message that our Professor Parvez A. Abbasi, convener, RC8 Indian Sociological Society, has sent. So, Dr. Sandeep, sir, please take the time.
Yes, actually, Abbasi sir is now traveling and in his home village, actually, where it is adjacent to the border area. So the internet connectivity is almost not there. So he was trying his level best, but he could not make it. So he had just sent a message. I'll just go through it. Abbasi sir, who is the convener of RC8, that is Inequality, Stratification and Social Exclusion Studies of Indian Sociological Society. So he said that it is immense a pleasure and matter of proud for the RC that we could collaborate with University of Science and Technology, Department of Sociology, for this very innovative idea that to come up with a talk on this very important issue of gender, which is one of the most important issue the society is facing today. So the way the talk is organized and designed is very innovative, and I'm sure it is going to yield outstanding results. And we at the RC are very hopeful that the other institutions will also take example from this, and we can organize similar kind of events in future. So with all my best wishes, I wish a grand success for this particular talk. Thank you very much, Professor Ahmad Abbasi, convener RC8. So this
Okay.
was the message given by Sir, and I hope, particularly after hearing Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, and also Abbasi Sir, who is the convener of the RC 8 Indian Sociological Society. Now we are far more enthusiastic, and will be very much positive that this entire program will go in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that, we move on to the last part of our inaugural program, and for which I would like to invite Mr. B.I. Laskar, sir, Associate Professor, Department of Sociology, USTM, to please say the vote of thanks. B.I. sir, please take your time.
Yeah, please. Good evening, all of you. And first of all, of course, I'd like to congratulate all the members, organizing members, as well as all the faculty members of the department and the RC 8 of Indian Sociological Society for this program which we are having. And particularly, we are thankful to the people who have taken the initiatives to such an intercourse discourse, especially in this pandemic situation, using the this technology, and we are able to connect people across the country, and we have participants around 70, I think so. So, of course, we'll first of all like to congratulate the Department of Sociology, and especially Dr. Sandeep Gupta for taking the responsibility of organizing this program, and at the same time, Professor Abbasi, the convener of RC8 of Indian Sociological Society, for collaborating with us the program. And especially, I'd like to convey my gratitude and thanks to Professor G.D. Sharma, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, who has elaborated different aspects of gender issue, and he has really put insight into the matter to be discussed during this 4 days program. At the same time, the message which was sent by Professor Abbasi, because of his travel schedule, and he could not physically or virtually interact with us, but he has sent a beautiful message for all of us to take it forward for the 4 days. And also, I am thankful to all the participants from all over the country, whoever are participating, along with our own students and faculty members who are participating in the program. Okay, thank you very much, and all the best for the program.
Thank you so much, sir. With this, we come to a close of the inaugural program. And we will now move on to the first technical session. And to do that, I would like to introduce Ms. Hia Bama, Assistant Professor, Department of Sociology, USTM, who will be your moderator. Remember, everyone, 4 evenings, 4 speakers, 1 conversation. Happy hours ahead. Ms. Hia, you can now take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, AMaNA. A very good evening to Honorable Chancellor Sir, Mr. Mahbubul Haq, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor G.D. Sharma Sir, Registrar, USTM, Mrs. Anju Hazarika Ma'am, Convener, RC8 Indian Sociological Society, Professor Parvez A. Abbasi, Academic Registrar, Dr. Ajmal Barbuya Sir, COE, USTM, Dr. Nurjaman Laskar Sir, Dean of School of Social Sciences, Humanities, Professor A.C. Talukdar Sir, Deputy Registrar, USTM, Mr. Shamim Goni Sir, and Director, University Classes, Mrs. Polly Bogohai Madam, and all our esteemed guests, resource person, and participants. I am Hia Burma, and on the behalf of Department of Sociology, USTM, I welcome you all and our very special guest speaker, Santa Khurai Ma'am, to this virtual talk series, Looking for Feminist Epistemology. I would like to briefly give an introduction to Santa Khurai Ma'am. Ma'am, please correct me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, in case I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Santa Khurai ma'am is a Manipuri indigenous Nupi Manvi, or as we laymen know is at transgender women. She is a writer, poet, researcher, artist, and a Manipuri indigenous transgender activist. She's a gender rights activist, and she has worked with Solidarity and Action against the HIV infection in India, which is also known as Sati. She is also the secretary of the state level apex body called All Manipur Nupi Manvi Association, also known as AMaNA. And she has also served as the community coordinator at the Manipuri State Commission for Women. She is also working with several national and international organizations for the queer human rights. For today's evening, ma'am will be speaking on the title Nupi Manvi, the trajectory of indigenous transgender identity. Now, I welcome wholeheartedly, ma'am, to deliver your speech. But before that, I'd like to take just 1 minute of your time and give an announcement to all our participants. I would like to inform all the participants that there will be a question answer session. Since we have a lot of participants from all over the country, we have kept your mic on mute so that there is no, technical glitches. So you can type your questions in the chat box, and after ma'am is done with delivering her keynote speak, then we'll take your questions and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. Ma'am, please I welcome you to deliver the speech now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and very good evening to all the beautiful peoples and who are eagerly waiting to hear from me. And I'm very sorry, I just wanted to place my apology for coming a bit late because I was busy in distributing food for the peoples, like COVID relief support in my locality. So I wasn't able to attend the inaugural function. But, and I don't know, because I thought that my slot is on 17, and then Sandeep told me, oh, Santa, today is your slot. So I did not have time to prepare for this session. Anyway, let's just, what to say, gender. When we say gender, how do we see gender? What is our understanding about gender? So gender is not something which you can rely on X, Y, Z thing that scientifically proves that determine the sex of an individual. So gender is something which has to do with your psychology. It's nothing to do with what is between your two legs, because that XY stands with the chromosome, and then gender is not something which can visibly so based on that XY chromosome number. So gender is an innate element, and also at the same time, gender is a social construct. So we need to look on both perspectives. Some of the feminists or a very, progress country have started opening the boxes of gender. And there are a lot of argument, there are a lot of dialogue and definition coming in the recent decades. Like some claims that gender is a social construct, and gender is something, like a person carries his or her innate element. So according to my understanding, gender is something which you aspire to become. You aspire to become in your gender identity, okay, with your body, with your psychology, and then it also has some, relation with the social influence. And then how do you place your gender identity in the society you live in? This is also a big question. Okay, so that is something we need to ponder upon. Okay, because when we say gender, we also need to look into the social reality. How in a society gender has been placed, and then how do gender perform? So this is very important. And for example, when we talk about the transgender people's transgender identity, we also need to understand what are the social and cultural realities that the individual is associated with. For example, when we say transgender, we cannot homogenize transgender identity and culture into something which is floating on the surface. So when we say transgender identity is a very diverse community. You just cannot fix transgender identity on the post-sex reassignment surgery peoples or peoples like me who live as a women 24/7. There are also transgender peoples who wanted to live as a man, but actually inside the person aspired to become a woman, or the person aspired to become a man. So that's the diversity of the transgender peoples. And then this diversity differs based on the socio-cultural realities that the community is associated with, that the individual is associated with. For example, in Manipur, based on a research which I have conducted recently, it's called FAIDA. So FAIDA were a group of peoples. They were not a community, but they were a group of peoples who were employed in Kangla, in the erstwhile Manipuri society. And then they were given high position in Kangla. And kings and the peoples had a very huge respect to them. Okay. And then these peoples, and in the research, we failed to find the sexuality of the community, the gender expression of the community. When we say transgender peoples, we also need to understand the different gender expression, like I have said, in this presentation, that transgender peoples are very diverse community. As there is diversity, the gender expression is also very, very different. Users cannot pick a person and then cannot, based on that individual experience or based on that individual gender expression, you cannot homogenize the entire transgender community. Okay, so this is what is important to know. And then when we talk about the feminism, I think we also need to expand the concept and belief of feminism and feminist movement. So women, on the other hand, are with different shape, different size, different language, different color, different appearance. So when you say women, then I think you also need to cover transgender community in the category. I'm talking about the transgender women, because this is important. This is important according to me, according to my experience, because the issues and challenges faced by the cisgender women is almost similar with the issues faced by the transgender peoples, because transgender peoples were born in a male body, but inclined to female identity. So we have left the privilege that the society look for, and then inclined to women coming down to the lower position. I can't say it's a lower position. Female identity is not a lower position, but actually, according to social belief and social perception, female are at the weaker section of gender. So we have choose to live in that weaker section of gender. That is why the stigma, discrimination, violence, and all sort of ill treatment faced by the transgender community is almost similar with the issues and challenges faced by the cisgender women. So when we talk about the women's right, we can't leave transgender people's right, because transgender people's right really does matter. And also in my experience, there was a time when I grew up, it was very difficult for me to come out because the society was very conservative. Difficult to come out in the sense like I can come out as a boy, disguised as a boy. I can be very queer in the sense like I can walk like girls, I can talk like girls, but actually at the same time, I had to wear boys attire, boys clothing. Okay. But actually, if I started coming out openly as a girl, then that's a very big challenge. And that's a kind of antisocial activities according to the social mindset. So I was a person who came out openly in Manipur as a transgender person, as a girl. And there were times like, I was bullied in schools and I faced acute discrimination. I even was a very bad relationship with my family member. My lucky thing was that my mother really supported me. And even though my father did not wanted my gender identity, one good thing from the side of my father was he always encouraged me to continue my education. This is the reason why I have got this a privilege to communicate with people. I have this privilege to expand my network with the peoples. So based on this experience, I think for the transgender transgender peoples and also for the non-conforming children, education is also very important because it really helps you to give your own wisdom. Because education at the end of the day, it can apply to everywhere, anywhere. So, but for many of my trans brother and sister, they did not get that privilege. They did not able to get that support from the family. This is the reason why many of our trans brother and sister drop out school in the middle and they were not able to attend the higher educational qualification. So having said this, transgender peoples, like it's very difficult for the transgender peoples to come out from the ignorance, and then many of the time the community are have been misused, and then our space, our narrative has been misappropriated, and then there are peoples, educated peoples, who are speaking over our narratives for their personal benefit, to climb the ladders using our narratives. And this is the reality, but actually we have less voice. Why? Because even though we have the experience, we do not have the guts to speak out, because we have this low self-esteem. Why we have low self-esteem? Because like we are rejected from the family, we are not well treated in the society, and we are always facing oppression and suppression from many sort of from all sections of society and every domain. So this is the reason why, even though we wanted to speak of, we wanted to tell our story, we wanted to tell the reality, there is less space in every domain in the society, in every domain in government authority, and there are very less people to listen to our story. So these are the challenges, but in the entire Northeast, I think Manipur is far ahead in terms of trans development. Because I don't know, this is very difficult to explain, but probably we need to do an in-depth research of why Manipur society is trans-tolerable society. It's trans-tolerant society. Even though the trans people are not completely accepted, our existence are acknowledged by the family and the society. This is the reason why we are able to live in the society, and we are able to mingle with the peoples, with the common peoples. And it's it's something which I would like to flag out here as a unique culture of the Manipuri society. Maybe there were certain layers of gender expression that Manipur society have experienced. Like in the early on time in Manipur, it was the Nupa Amaidi, men shaman, who perform. They were the spiritual community. They are still existing, but actually the numbers is decreasing remarkably. Maybe because of the globalization, many of the transgender women, they have resorted to beauty parlor as a traditional traditional ways of earning for their livelihood, and it's very successful. So many of the trans sisters, even though they have possessed this spiritual cult, they willingly stop this spiritual cult which is in them, and then they just started working in the parlor. Okay, and then later after that, coming lila, sumang lila. The literal meaning of sumang lila is the courtyard play, where in this play all the actors are performed by the men only, by the male actor, or the singer, the female artist, everything is performed by the men only, and it's very demanded. And then later on comes this, unconventional gender identity peoples like me, who come out openly in the society and started asserting for our rights, for our existence. So this is the certain changes that's taking place in Manipur, that has been taking place in Manipur. But actually there has been no literature on this subject, and then it's very difficult for even for us to start doing groundworks, as there is no literature, there is no living evidence of it. So these are the things which I think it's important to, you know, like to place in this precious moment. And I don't have much to continue, but actually if people have questions, then people can ask questions to me, and I'm ready to respond to all questions. And I would love interaction rather than giving speech or lecturing people.
Yeah, I think because I personally is very much attached to this particular topic, and I had some interaction with Santa Khurai ma'am too, and some other friends of mine who are there in Manipur. Manipuri society, but particularly the Meitei society, I find it a little bit different, as you were saying that about this trans tolerance society. I found it different because in rest of India, like I'm right now in Guwahati, this transgender people are not found everywhere. They're only found in certain pockets. So when I roam around in a mall, or when I'm hanging out in a cafe, or in my university or any of the school, I cannot see that. Most of the time of the entire day, we hardly see them. They are only found in certain pockets. Unlike that, in Manipur, we can see that transgender people are everywhere. You will find them in market. You will find them hanging out with other gender people. In a group, you will find that one or two transgender people is there. There won't be raised eyebrows there. So it's very different kind of a society. Of course, I'm not denying that there must be a different kind of challenges that transgender people must be facing there, but it's very different from rest of the country where I used to go, and they are like almost invisible. We cannot see them. So what do you think is must be the reason that transgender people are comparatively so easily accepted there? Is there anything to do with the mythology or some other issues that is there?
I think, Sandeep, this is because of the belief of gender plurality and gender multiplicity is rooted in the history of Manipur. For example, we have a mythology. This is a mythology which is related with the, with the kind of support system, with the kind of, coming together, which was a very important part in the development of Manipur. Okay. So there is a mythology telling that there was a time in the king's time. The rivers were not there. All the rivers which exist now in Manipur were not there. And then all the peoples were participating in digging canal. Okay, they were digging canals. And then ants, every insect, every animal, every gender, they all involved. They actively involved and took participation in that digging of the canals and river. But actually there is a bird. It is a state bird. It's called Nongin. Okay, this bird did not participate in that war, and then the king cursed this bird.